Welcome back to the Note Taker Single tutorial. In the last video we got our project set up and then created our user interface. In this video I'll show you how to wire up all the buttons so that they do exactly what we want. So if you'll recall, in the last video we created these sort of skeleton outlines of the two classes that we're going to be using to customize our send and retrieve buttons. One thing that I think would be one thing that we didn't do that we maybe could have is set the text on these buttons so that they actually make a little more sense. We can do that by doing send button dot text, and we can just have that say send, and retrieve button retrieve notes. So now those will actually have labels instead of just being empty boxes. So now that we've got that done, let's look at our send button. What do we want to happen when we send a note to the database? Well, the first thing we want to do is actually override the onClick method. Now, by using this @override annotation, we're telling the Java compiler that yes, we know there's an onClick method in button, but we don't want to use that. We want to use the one that we're about to implement here. So the first thing we're going to want to do when we send in a new note is increase the count. And then we want to retrieve the note from the text box that the user entered it into. Since we're creating a key value, since our database is a key value store, we're going to use a note title as the key to retrieve the value of. Since our database is a key value store, we need something to use as a key. I've decided for our purposes an easy way to do that is to just create a title using the word note and then the current count of the number of notes. So to create that, we can just do the word note plus the current count. So now we have both our key, the title, and our value, the note, and we can just pop that right on into the database. The first argument is going to be our title, and our second argument is going to be our note. Now that's all nice and stored in the database, so the last thing I'm going to do just for user friendliness is clear the text box so that the user is ready to add a new note if they like. So now we've implemented our click for our send button, but we also need to tell it what to do when we want to retrieve all of the notes. So once again, we're going to be overriding the click method. So what do we need to do here? The idea is we're going to step through each note we've created one by one and add them to a long string that we then place in the note label. Since we've been counting the number of notes that we make, we can use it as our maximum number and use a while loop to iterate through all of the notes, since we use the convenient naming system of just the word note and then the number of the note itself. When we retrieve the note from the database, we're going to use a Java tool called String Builder to easily and quickly append the note to our ongoing string, and then add a new line. Finally, we'll place the note list that we created into the note label and exit the method. So to start out, let's set up our while loop. We're going to use an index I and start that out at 1 because that's the number of our first note. We're going to need a string that we can constantly update called note title, and we're going to need a string builder to build what will eventually be our note label. So our count is going to be the very last, most recent note that we added. So in our while loop, we're going to do while I is less than or equal to count. Our note title will be the word note plus whatever's in I. And we're going to append to our builder whatever's stored in the database at the value named note title. Now, this isn't going to add a new line to our note, so unless we want a whole long running string of every single note, it's helpful to append a new line, which is denoted by a backslash and the letter N. And finally, we need to increase I. All that's left now is to put all of this into our note label. And there you have it. We've customized our retrieve button. Alright, all that's left now is to run our app. So we can type in a note and send it, and then retrieve it, and type in a new note, and send that again. And then next time we retrieve it, it's also there. So there you have it. That's Note Taker Single for JavaBridge.